Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure comparison video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the recently released Marvel Select Beast, and we're going to see how he compares to the over a decade old Toybiz Marvel Legends Beast. And let's get right into it, starting with the sculpt on these two figures. So let's start off with the select version. As you can see, all the sculpting and the details on him are really nice. All the joints are very well hidden, but I will say that he's not as bulky as he should be. In my review, I mentioned that he looks a little too lanky, and most people seem to agree with that, so I do wish that he was a little more chunky. And another thing that's a huge flaw with this sculpt is this head. The head is sculpted really nice, but it's just really not the look that most people want for Beast. But other than that, the sculpted details on this guy are really nice, and I think all the joints look very good. On the other hand, the Toybiz version has a lot of articulation. There's a lot of articulation stuffed in this guy, and I think as a result, he doesn't look as clean. He looks a little more sloppy, but it is an old figure, so it's hard to be mad at it. But other than like the chopped up joints and everything, the figure is sculpted really nice. There's a lot of good details on him too. You can see on his arm, all the fur. You got the hair on the back and then the hair on the chest, but right in here you don't really see too much fur or anything. I wouldn't say that it's smooth, but it doesn't really look like fur. But yeah, everything else looks pretty good. The one thing about this figure that I think a lot of people will disagree with me on is I'm not a huge fan of this head. I think from some angles and in some like positions it looks pretty good, but I hate the way it looks with his mouth open. I think that looks really bad. Even when it came out, I didn't really think that looked very good. So I don't know, but with the mouth closed, the head sculpt is near perfect. Check that out. So as far as the head sculpt in general, I'm going to say that the Toybiz head sculpt is a lot better than the Select version, and the proportions are a lot better, but overall I think the sculpting details and just the overall sculpt work is a little bit better on the Marvel Select one. Again, the proportions and stuff look better on the Toybiz one. He's a little more chunky, he looks a little bit more muscular, but I think as far as sculpted details, the Select one wins. And as far as the accessories go, they both come with a couple of things. The Marvel Select version comes with a Danger Room diorama, and then it comes with an extra set of hands, a set of gripping hands, and I think that's pretty cool. The Marvel Legends version, he comes with a little Danger Room piece that's smaller than the Marvel Select one, and it came with a comic book because a lot of the Toybiz figures used to come with comic books, so I don't know if you want to consider that an accessory. Unfortunately, I don't have those handy because I've had this figure for probably 10 years and I'm not really sure where that little Danger Room piece, and I have no idea where I put the comic book. But anyways, it does come with something. I do think the stuff that came with the Marvel Select version is a little bit better. And for the scale, it gets a little tricky with Beast because in most cases, you're probably going to be posing him jumping around or hunched over or crouched, and you're not really going to have him standing straight up. And if you do have him standing straight up, then the Marvel Select Beast is way out of scale. As you can see, he's a lot taller than the Marvel Select Nightcrawler. Over here, it works a little bit better, but it's kind of unfair because the Marvel Legends Beast is kind of sculpted already hunched over. As you can see, it's not like he's standing straight up. His torso is a little bit bent, and same thing with his legs. It doesn't seem like they fully extend. So I mean, if you did, I think he'd be a lot taller, and it would kind of seem out of scale with Nightcrawler here, but you know, not by much. I'd imagine when Beast stands all the way up, he's pretty tall. But I'd still say that the Marvel Legends version scales better with Marvel Legends figures than the Select one does with other Select figures. They both are crouched down and hunched over, and as you can see, they both work perfectly fine within their own scale. I think that once you have Marvel Select Beast down like this, he looks really good next to Nightcrawler and other Marvel Select X-Men figures, and Beast just looks good either way, I think. So still, I'm gonna say that the Marvel Legends Beast scales better with other Marvel Legends figures, but I'm not gonna agree with people that are saying that the Marvel Select Beast is way out of scale. I think he works perfectly fine. As far as crossing over with other similar lines, I think there's some potential there for both of these. When it comes to something like Mezco, which generally runs a little bit bigger than Marvel Legends, I think the Marvel Select Beast works really good. In fact, I think he looks awesome next to the Mezco Tiger Stripe Wolverine. I really look forward to seeing how he looks next to the Jim Lee Cyclops that Mezco has coming out. But still, the Marvel Legends Beast looks fine with him too. But once you throw in the Marvel Legends Tiger Stripe Wolverine, obviously the Toybiz one works perfectly fine, but the Marvel Select one really doesn't. He's just a little too big to be hanging out with that Wolverine. But I think it's perfectly fine to have him hang out with the Mezco Wolverine. And for the articulation, it's a no-brainer. The Toybiz one wins by a landslide. He could definitely get into any kind of pose that you want to get Beast into. He's a lot of fun to mess around with. He has articulated hands and fingers, which I don't like the way they look really, but they are helpful in getting him into like handstand poses and things like that. And you could get him to crouch down a really nice amount, even though he doesn't have torso articulation. And that's one thing that the Select version does have over the Toybiz version. He does have the mid-torso joint, but still, even with that, the articulation just isn't as useful on the Marvel Select version. It seems like most of the points of articulation are really similar. They both have the upper thigh cut, double jointed knees. Marvel Select Beast does not have any kind of lower leg swivel. This Beast does. That does help a lot for crouching poses and things like that. Even though this Beast has single jointed elbows, they seem to just work a little bit better than the Marvel Select version does. But I'd say that the Marvel Select version does have decent articulation. It just can't really compete with a Toybiz figure that was made to be mostly articulated. As you can see, the articulation is pretty good on the Marvel Select version, but you're just not going to be able to get him into a lot of the cool poses that you could get the Toybiz version into. And just in case anyone's curious, you are able to swap the heads. It does take a lot of work. It takes some hot water, but I didn't have to modify either one of the heads. I was able to get this on there, but it sits really tight and it makes it so the mouth stays closed, so I like that a lot. And actually, I think this looks amazing. I might just keep my Marvel Select Beast like that. Same thing cannot be said for the Toybiz version. He kind of looks like a weird freak over here, and the head doesn't really sit on there at all. As you can see, it just spins around. But man, this looks beautiful. Check that out. That is so cool. I think I might go ahead and keep it like that. And the colors don't quite match, but after having this head on this body for a little bit, I really don't even notice. It might just be my mind playing tricks on me, ghetto boy style, but I do like the way it looks, so I'm very happy with it. So in the end, I like both of these figures. I really don't think that either one is head and shoulders over the other. I think both of them have their strengths. If you value articulation more, then the Toybiz one is the way to go. And if you want one that has a cleaner sculpt and looks better, then the Marvel Select version is better. Except for the head. The head doesn't look great, but it does look cool for battle poses. So if that's how your display is set up, all your figures like in running, charging, battle type of poses, the Marvel Select one is the way to go. And obviously they're different scales. So the Toybiz one is going to work better with Marvel Legends, and the Marvel Select one is going to work better with Marvel Selects. But these days, when there's so many different kind of Marvel figures out there that are in the 6-inch and 7-inch scale, you have to consider the crossover potential. And I do think that the Toybiz one has a little bit more crossover potential. It kind of, the proportions and the way it kind of looks next to other figures feels more like Beast. But the Select version does have a lot of potential to put into other collections. It just takes a little bit more work. You have to get them to crouch. You might have to do some slight customizing or something, but for the most part, you could definitely get them into your 6-inch scale lines. I'm not just talking about Marvel Legends. There's Mezco, there's Sentinel. I think that might be like a 7-inch, but there's Figure Arts. There's just all kinds of lines that are really close. So you just have to consider how these figures could cross over with each other. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of strange. Both of them have crossover potential, but I think it's going to be a little bit easier with the Toybiz version. But in the end, for me, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Select one. Honestly, I'm just going to swap the heads and rock with that. I think that is the best option, is throwing the Toybiz head onto the Select body, and we have almost a perfect Beast. So there it is. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And also be sure to let me know which figure you like the best, the Toybiz Marvel Legends or the Marvel Select. Leave that in the comments. And thank you very much. Peace.
That's crispy.